Just to introduce ourselves, I'm Jo Haywood. I'm one of the admissions tutors for Homerton, and I'm going to be giving you just a very brief introduction to Homerton and to the university and to applying to Cambridge. And then, Aude, do you want to just introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, I'm Aude Rauscent. I'm the Director of Studies for PBS at Homerton. I'm going to give you a little bit longer presentation about the subject and why studying at Cambridge and more why choosing Homerton for your future college.
Brilliant. Thank you, Aude. So just to start us off, I wanted to take us through some ideas about why apply to Cambridge. Um, And I'm sure if you are coming along to this webinar, you're thinking, oh, maybe Cambridge is the place for me. And I know that sometimes people might have come along thinking, oh, I'm not sure if Cambridge is the place for me. And so it's important for us to think about, well, what is it like here? We know if you look at kind of global university rankings, Cambridge University offers a world-class education. It's a really lovely environment to be with lots of other people who really care about their subject, be that PBS, and there'd be a cohort of PBS students, or all of the other subjects that are offered by the university. And Homerton takes students in every subject that the university offers at undergraduate level. So it's a really diverse subject community in that sense. It's also a really supportive environment in Cambridge. It is academically challenging. We ask a lot of people, but we also provide a lot of support to go along with that. And that support comes both from your peer group and the kind of the friendships and the relationships that you form within your peer group, but also from the college and from the university more broadly. So, for example, in college, you would have what's called a director of studies, a DOS, and a tutor. And those two roles, they're not, the words are used slightly differently from how you might have had them before. A director of studies is someone who supports you from an academic point of view during your time at Cambridge. So would talk to you about module choices or about how you're getting on with the teaching that you've got and any challenges you've got, any support you might need in terms of essay writing, for example. And then your tutor is more concerned with the kind of pastoral aspect of your life. So might talk to you about your well-being, any medical needs that you have, if there were any aspects of life that were causing you challenges that were then impacting on how things were going. So those people are there really to support you through your journey in all these ways. And then there's also a broader support system. Within Cambridge and within the subject. So that supportive environment is really important to us. And it's certainly one of the things, one of the reasons that I like doing webinars like these, because I really firmly believe that we are doing the best we can to support each individual who comes to work with us and recognizing that each individual might have really completely different needs in terms of support. And we're lucky enough to be able to tailor what we can offer. The third bullet point here is fulfilling student experience. We ask a lot of you. You will work hard. We will support you. And there's also a really broad kind of extracurricular, co-curricular, supracurricular offering at the university. And so it might be that you get involved with things related to your degree. It might be that you're involved with things not related, sports or drama or music during your time here. And so that experience of the whole kind of being at Cambridge, the academic work, the support that goes alongside that, and then those broader elements of your life are lead to a really busy, a really full life. The other thing I think it is important to note is that in terms of employability, and that is something that we know is really important, getting a job once you leave is really a really important consideration for everyone. And Cambridge is ranked very well for that as well. So that's a really brief introduction to why Cambridge might be a good place to consider. Something else that can be quite confusing when you start looking into applying to Cambridge is, well, why is there a university and colleges and how do they fit together? Um, and so just very, very briefly to go through that, the university um, runs the courses. So PBS is offered to all students at all colleges in the same way. And the course content is the same. The lectures, everyone goes to the same lectures from all of their colleges. The practical work is the same. The exams that everyone sits are the same. And the university also awards the degrees. So all degrees come from the University of Cambridge, independent of which college you're at. The role of the college in all of that is to admit the students. So when you're applying for Cambridge, there's either the option to apply for a specific college or to make what's called an open application, where you don't choose a college and you're kind of allocated to a college. But once that's done, everyone who either chose Homerton, for example, or is allocated to Homerton, would be interviewed and, well, would go through the admissions process, and some of them will be interviewed by that college, and then they choose who to admit. Your director of studies and your tutor, who I've mentioned already, are part of the college. And then the college also is most often where you would live, where you would eat, where you would have a lot of your kind of downtime. They have on the academic side, a lot of these supervisions, which are really small group teaching. So a lot of the time that would be two or three. I'm just looking at Aude to check I've got the numbers right for PBS. Students with one supervisor. The supervisor is an academic or someone who's working in the field who will talk to you for an hour a week about that subject, about what you've covered in lectures, about how you're feeling about it, and will help you develop your understanding and your knowledge about the topics that you're covering. The colleges also provide lots of facilities for academic study. So we've got a really nice library at Homerton, and the library staff, along with various other people in the college, are really helpful in terms of providing additional kind of support around referencing, or how do I find papers to read, or all of these things that you may not have experienced so far. So your college is important because it's your home when you're at university, um, when you're in Cambridge. And one of the things that people often ask when we do presentations like this is, well, what's special about your college? Why did you choose Homerton? And that's a great question. I think it's really important to kind of try and get a feel for different colleges. For me, the answer would be that I just love the range of people that we've got at Homerton. People are friendly, people are supportive, people work collaboratively, and that's the students, but also the academics, and that's between the students and the academics as well. So it really feels like we're all working together towards that goal of students reaching their potential within their degree. And that's something that's really important to me. So I like that about our college. In terms of other things about Homerton, you've got some lovely pictures there. These are all within college. So you've got the Great Hall, which is this building with the round window in it. Here's the outside of it. It did actually look quite like this at some points today, and then at other points today in Cambridge, it's been tipping it down with rain. But that's the outside. And then down here in the bottom right-hand corner, this is the inside of the Great Hall set up for a dinner. So these are some of the older spaces we've got. We've got a lot of tradition of old buildings, but also all the Cambridge University traditions of graduating whilst being spoken to in Latin, of formal halls, of all these wonderful things. But we're also very, very kind of forward looking in our education, and we are, as a community, always thinking about, well, how can we move the way that we're doing education forward so that we really are providing the best that we can for people. You've then got some pictures of other people around college. I'm just moving the pictures of Aude and myself because I don't need to see us. There's just above the old dining hall, there's the new dining hall. So this was built more recently. And it's a wonderful, light, airy space. It's a really delightful space to be in. And just outside this building, which you can't see here, is what's called the Buttery, which is a kind of social space for students and anyone else who wants to use it to come and either congregate, or at the moment a lot of working together is being done there as well. It's a very busy place for exam revision at the moment. We've got a lot of outdoor green space as well. So there's a picture there in the middle of the orchard where there are lots of apples that you can pick in the autumn, um, and just beautiful spaces to exist in. Alongside kind of our environment, I've already mentioned this kind of large and diverse college community. We've got a big college community. We take just under 200 students per year at undergrad, and we've got roughly equal numbers of undergrads and postgrad students. So we've got a really nice, big but diverse community, and that's great because you will find your people in amongst all of those people. Um, the next bullet point sounds like an odd thing to say. We're committed to making a positive impact on the world. But this is so fundamental to the kind of underpinnings, the beliefs of the college, that it really is worth stating. So if you come and visit Homerton, you'll meet Simon, who's our master, and he talks about the fact that getting a degree is great, but actually, if you don't go on and use that for the good of the world, well, that you're not making the most of it that you can. And so we've got a range of ways that that can be done. And one of those is through a program that we've got called Homerton Changemakers, which is a co-curricular program which supports all of our students. It's completely open access to develop their thinking around how they can be agents of change in the world. What can they do to go out into the world and make their mark, to leave the world a better place? And I think it's really important to talk about that now because it is so fundamental to who we are as a college. That's Simon in the picture there. He's standing outside the door to the Great Hall. And this just gives you a little bit more detail about the college. So we are the newest Cambridge college. We officially became a Cambridge college in 2010, but we've existed for a lot longer than that. Initially, Homerton was a teacher training college, but now, as I said, it takes students in every undergrad subject, which has been a great transition. And we've built over time the expertise in all of those areas to be able to support students. In terms of Cambridge, if you look at a map, we're a little bit further out of the centre than some of the colleges. Actually, getting anywhere you need to for your lectures is fine. So people worry, oh, it's a long way. It's not a long way. Get on a bike. There are buses. If you don't like bikes, you can walk places. And actually being able to come out of the city centre and back to this calm, peaceful environment with so much space is a great thing. We're also really close to the train station, which is quite helpful if you want to kind of leave Cambridge every so often. We've got some really good facilities and we've got some accommodation that is very good value. It's our accommodation is charged for the time that you're in residence rather than kind of the whole year, which again just helps financially with how things are going. Moving on from that, we recognise challenges financially about coming to university. And so I just wanted to outline that there are various forms of financial support. Some people will be eligible for what's called the Cambridge Bursary. That's a means tested bursary, and that will be something that you'll learn more about if that's relevant for you. But there are also things like music and travel grants, or very relevant at the moment because the deadline's just passed, internship grants. So this is where students who wish to pursue an internship over the summer can apply to the college and they can have either some money or some accommodation to help them be able to undertake that internship. Just before I pass over to Aude, and Aude, this is my last slide, so I'm just warning you. In terms of the application process, I'm sure this is something that you have heard about already, but I think it's worth just kind of revisiting. Firstly, choose the course that you're interested in, and Aude's going to tell you all about the PBS course in a minute. Then it's a case of choosing your college or whether you want to do an open application. Obviously, coming along tonight, you're learning a bit about Homerton. You're meeting some of the people who'd be involved in your education. But if there are additional questions and things, please do get in touch. And we've also got the University Open Days coming up soon as well. So do look at those and, visit some colleges whilst you're around. do come and visit Homerton and say hi and ask any other questions you've got. Um, Admissions test arrangements, I think Aude will talk about that. And then UCAS applications have a deadline. The deadline is on this slide, and that is the UCAS deadline. Your school will almost certainly give you an earlier deadline, and that is because they have to do lots of stuff after you've pressed submit. So please listen to their earlier deadline as well. Um, if you apply to Cambridge, we do ask you to fill in a few additional forms, and that information is all sent out to you after the 15th of October. We then look at all the applications that we get, and Cambridge is very competitive. The course is a competitive course, and so we have to look at those applications and say, well, who are the people here that we can interview? And we aim to interview as many people as we can. We want to see as broad a range of people as we can. And those interviews happen generally in December. And the way that we do those at Homerton for next year, they will be online, and you'll have 2 interviews, each with 2 people, probably. And we just want to kind of understand how you think and how you think specifically about your subject. And again, Aude will talk a little bit more about that. Once that happens, we don't communicate anything with anyone until there's a decision communication day at the end of January. And so everyone knows on the same day what's happening in terms of their application. Now, all of those details, you'll be able to get more information about all of that on the Cambridge website or on the UCAS website, but I just thought it was helpful to run through that. So that's the end, Aude, of what I have to go through. So I shall stop sharing and hand over to you.
Okay, so let me share my screen. Hope it's going to work. And we'll put that. Does that work?
Perfect. Yeah.
Perfect. So, I'm your future director of studies for PBS. If you choose to study psychological and behavioral sciences at Cambridge and specifically at Homerton. So oopsie. So what are we going to cover today is why PBS. So I'm gonna use PBS for psychological and behavioral sciences. So why would you be interested in that? Why studying PBS at Cambridge? So and then as well, what are the advantages of studying PBS at Homerton? We will have a quick view on how to apply to Homerton, and I will give away one of my favorite interview questions for you at the end of the session, just to try to do some sort of exercise with you. So, why PBS at Cambridge? Why would you choose to do psychology and behavioral sciences specifically at Cambridge? So you know that Cambridge is one of the academic excellence centers. There are researchers of international excellence. So you'll be taught by people who are experts in their field. So not only in psychology, but as well in other disciplines. So you'll have the opportunity to meet the great minds of this world. So psychology and studying psychology is always having also a good look at the research. So those people who are teaching you do world-class research, and most of them are applying an interdisciplinary approach, which they will offer to you during the lectures, during the internship, during practicals. So this gives you an opportunity to be in contact with an outstanding teaching and supervision system. So the teaching will be divided into university taught material. So that will be the lectures, the practicals, and the supervision system, as Joe mentioned just before, is more your home. Your college will provide the supervisions. So the small teaching groups that you'll have, and we'll talk about this a little bit later in the presentation. So at the same time, you can tailor your degree to be very specialized, but there is a good room for flexibility. So you'll have the opportunity to study a broad array of different topics in psychology. So from social psychology to very experimental preclinical research in psychology. But at the same time, you'll be able to have a look at history of sciences, criminology. So I'll talk about that and give you the opportunities of being specialized, but really open your mind as well on other and different topics that are offered by the course. So Joe mentioned that already, but at Cambridge, the system is designed to be extremely supportive for the students and extremely stimulating. So you'll have again, psychology is one thing, but being at Cambridge, there are other world leaders, and the number of talks you can attend every day is amazing. There are societies from matcha society to political ideas to knighting, whatever you can think about, you'll find that in that environment. So not only at Homerton, but the college has interaction with other colleges, and you will find your people as well in the college and in other colleges. So this is what when you apply for something you like to do, and you have some goals in your head. So you will start with these undergraduate studies, a path to professional careers. So of course, you can get through your degree professional psychology training, and if you tick all the boxes and validate all your modules, you will get an accreditation from the British Psychology Association at the end of your undergraduate studies. If you are interested in other fields than clinical psychology, for example, there are very strong career prospects, and we can talk about that throughout your journey, because you can arrive here with an ID and change your mind. So we will accompany you to for your prospective research on what you want to do with your degree. So the course overview, so your undergraduate studies will be 3 years, which are somehow building up on each other. So the first year, it is called Part 1A. The second year is called Part 1B, and the third year is called Part 2. So if you look at the website, you may see these names. So the first year. The first 2 years are based on foundational papers. So you'll have compulsory papers, which are called PBS 01, PBS 02, PBS 03, and PBS 03, sorry, and PBS 04 and PBS 05. So 5 papers that you need to validate for this accreditation. So first paper is psychology, experimental psychology and neuroscience. It gives you an introduction about everything you need to know to start your course in the more aspect of neuroscience-ish concept. Then you have another paper will give you the opportunity to get fundamental knowledge on social psychology and applied psychology and individual differences. So, and I will say that quite clearly, because it will make sense for one of the requisites we ask at Homerton. You can't do any psychology research without having a strong understanding of somehow how to operationalize your psychological question. So this is why the course has recently developed a fundamental paper, which is called From Subjective Questions to Objective Science, and will require good skills in coding, statistics, a little bit of math. Okay, so this is core papers and very, very important papers. And for the first year, you'll have an optional paper to choose from various different opportunities. I think I'm spoiling my less yeah. So I'm spoiling my next slide where I explain that already. But the optional papers would be from I think there's 19 different options at least this year. So from evolution and behavior or mathematical biology, which are papers in the natural sciences tripos, but you can also go for politics, philosophy, criminology, sociology, education papers. So that gives you the opportunity to strongly learn about the foundational knowledge that is needed for the rest of the years, but also have a different flavor on something that might interest you and you would like to develop. So the second year is based on two core papers that are building on what you've learned during the first year. One is based on behavioral and cognitive neuroscience, and the other one, developmental psychology. To complete your and tailor your second year with what you like, then you have to choose between between different possibilities. You have to choose two optional papers. So again, there are and this is where the 19 possibilities are here. There are papers in sociology, in politics, in criminology, in natural sciences, in education. Again, you'll have the possibility to do that. Nothing you take during the first year will prevent you to take something else in the second year. So this is all giving you a lot of freedom in tailoring your degree. Okay. So the last year is your final year, the one which will be giving you the grade for your degree. You will have two psychology papers, okay, but one of which is a dissertation / research project. So for that, the Department of Psychology will release at the end of your second year a list of topics that will be interesting and will be specialized in various different labs. And then you will have to choose between all those projects the one that will be your core project for the final year. So you'll have the opportunity to get hands-on research experience with one of the PIs in the department. And then you can you will have to take an optional paper in psychology. So at the moment, the course is reaching the final step of being completely refunded. So the optional papers next year will be different than the one you may have seen on the website. So the list is not fully complete, but that might interest you, knowing that the department is developing new papers, particularly a clinical psychology paper, and as well a more, let's say, not computational, but more based on operationalizing concept and making objective science. Then there will also be other papers such as one on mental health, one on more neuroscience papers, motivation, drug addiction, etc. So these are psychology papers, and you have again to choose two other optional papers. So this is very much your choice to add a little bit of color or flavor to your degree and find your strengths. So then you can be very happy studying those topics. So what will your day look like and how you will learn? So for the 3 years, you'll have typically lectures. So most of the time, typically 2 lectures a week for each paper. You will have practical classes, and there are seminars and talks in the department that you will all be invited. And those talks can be given by people who've discovered something like very brilliant, or the guy the people you hear about in the lectures. How you will be assessed. So in PBS, mostly your exam will look like a combination of short answer question, MC, multiple choice questions, and essays. So that would be the final exam, the one that my students are going through at the moment. But there are also possibilities to have oral examination, depending on the papers you will be choosing. And across the year, there are some, we don't call them coursework, but you may hear about that. They call more like lab reports. So they will be based on what you do during the practical classes. And so you'll have the opportunity to show how you deal with practical questions. I'm going to just have the sun. So the sun is that's up. So then another very important part of your day will be going to supervisions. And this is why Cambridge is very, very interesting, because you get the opportunity to discuss the material you see during the lectures or the practical classes in supervisions. So supervisions are very small teaching groups. So Joe mentioned 2 to 3 in PBS, depending on the size of the cohort. In general, it's those numbers. This year, I have a cohort of my first years. They are 4, and they like being supervised all together for the papers they have. So that creates a good dynamic. So, for example, you could be 4. If we have a bigger cohort, then we may split the groups in 2 to 3 people. The supervisions are really where you will thrive, where you get the opportunity to show your ideas, to introduce your reasoning, to train on being able to debate. Joe mentioned that we want you to have an impact on the world, but you can also just want to have an impact on your community, just want to have an impact on your own life. You will acquire those skills during supervisions. And this is an opportunity that is really, really amazing in terms of the skills you will learn. So you're not only going to be trained by experts in the field, you are going to be trained for the exams, because this is also one of the purposes of the supervisions. But you will acquire transferable skills and being able to integrate feedback and live. That will be live. So one of your one of the reasons why you want to apply is to get the chance to go to supervisions at Cambridge. So talking about supervisions, supervisions are one of the one of the missions that your college will have to fulfill. So why studying psychology and behavioral sciences at Homerton? So we do 4 to 6 offers per year on average. So we like to have a large cohort, and we like to have a good group of students. So 4 to 6 students on average each year. So we ask, so that's not us. This is the minimal offer level for psychology is if you do A level, 2 A stars, 1 A, and or between like 40 to 42 points or international baccalaureate IB. So we ask at Homerton that you take math or biology. And why do we think it's very important? Because as I said, you can't do research or read papers without some of the skills, and not having any skills in math or in bio or in there could be chemistry as well, will not be putting you in a good situation. So we want you to thrive. We want you to achieve very high. We have all the support, but we're asking for those 2 essential subjects. So math or biology. So the director of studies or fellows in PBS at Homerton. So myself, I still look like a picture. I've updated it because I was a picture of me 10 years ago, so it wouldn't be fair. And you also be able to interact with Professor David Belin, who's a professor of neuroscience and experimental psychology in the Department of Physiology, Development and Neuroscience at Cambridge University. So we interact a lot together, and we give opportunities to the students that I will talk about later. So I'm not going to repeat what Joe said, but you can see here that is our cohort of students, previous undergraduates, and I'm thinking about those ones who are actually going through their exams at the moment. So we have a wonderful college. I am French, I can't really hide it, and what I like from Homerton is that everyone is welcome. So it's a very diverse and international community, and I never felt that I was French. So I felt welcomed and as a fellow, so I can tell you that all the students, we are working very, very hard to support you from wherever you are from or whatever you feel. Really, really, it's a true thing. So what we have, as I said, we have a vibrant and diverse community. We have a large PBS cohort, which I think is very good to be part of. Being one of the supervisors for other colleges where the students are sometimes only 1 or 2, it might be trickier. So it's a very good it's a very good strength we have. So because of the relationship we have with our fellows and with Professor Belin, he is able to offer some internships, summer placements at for Homerton students in his lab, so which is also a big opportunity, because it's not that easy to as an undergraduate sometimes to find a summer placement. So you have, as Joe said and mentioned, a lot of like funding opportunities to lead some research project or other types of travel experiences, things that you want to have to make an impact later. So applicants, what are we looking for, and who are we looking for at Homerton? So this is what you find. Cambridge is looking for the brightest and the best students, irrespective of social, religious, school or financial background. And this is really what we want. So we are obviously looking at the applicant's academic ability and potential. I insist on potential. I think it's one of the criteria when I look at applications that I make them that is the most important for me. What is the potential of the students? So you of course need to satisfy the subject requirements, and then we want people who are happy to be here, who are motivated. It's going to be hard. It's going to be challenging, but when you are motivated and enthusiastic and have an interest and genuine interest in the subject, all the dark side of being hard becomes like strengths, and you'll be happy to throw yourself in your studies. So this comes with a passion for understanding the mind, understanding the psychology. Why are we behaving that way? Why do we have that personality? What makes us different from each other? And so our goal will be to try to find a good fit between the applicants and the course, right? So when you'll be here for an interview, or even when you prepare your applications, what would be very important is to show all of that, and crucially show that you have the capacity to critically think about questions and be able to construct complex arguments when we will be discussing questions during the interview, for example. So this the application. So I think I'm not going to repeat that very much, but the applications are considered individually and looking at all the aspects that I've mentioned. There's We're not looking only at the grades of your GCSEs or your predicted grades. We're looking at this. We're looking at the references the school will give, your school will give. We're looking at your personal statement. We're looking at some extenuating circumstances. So we make sure that we're not spending 1 minute on each application. So it takes a lot of time, and we take all available information at our disposal to make an educated decision. So, and we all share things together. So not only one person who's doing all the assessment. So when you are selected and you are invited to interviews, so I say interviews because you will have two different interviews with two panels composed by two different people. So to be successful, you have almost to forget everything you know. What I mean is you need to come with your knowledge. But the success will come if you show us how you think. So how you think and how to show us how you think is first listen to the questions. Listen to the questions and listen to the clues the panel will give you. Take your time. Don't try to throw everything you know as soon as you see a graph. Take your time and remember your primary school teachers when they said, frame your answers. It is true. Just take the time to understand what the questions are and take the time to frame your answers. There is a very good chance that we will discuss things that you've never heard about before. This is absolutely the goal of the interview, right? There's no trap. There's no, we're not mean. What we want to see how you react when you do not have to rely systematically on what you already know, because that will be what a supervision is. So we will ask you some questions which will be based on problem solving and critical thinking skills. So show us that you have that. If And that can happen. You don't know anything about the subject. Fair enough. We're here to give you, to feed you with information. The goal of this is sometimes to see how you take new information on board and how you will respond to, oh, if I tell you this new information, how can you use it to answer the question or to change your answer? Okay. What I want to tell you, and one of the take home messages I want you to take is during the interview, there's no wrong or right answers most of the time. What is interesting is that we get a discussion with you. You show that you are, I'm sorry to say that, good teaching material. And not that I'm saying that you are material, but you are there ready to learn. Okay? And the it happens every year. We have that eureka moment. The student, the applicant is responding to a hint and understands what it means. I can tell you that is, for me, what I'm looking for during the interviews. And I know my um, panelists are looking for the same thing. So don't worry if questions, one of the questions you answer it like badly. I remember one of my students who graduated with a first over the last 2 years said, "Oh, I was asking a question about an animal and said that animal can't be a bird because birds are mammals." And then when that student said that, they realized that I've made the biggest mistake. And during the graduation dinner, they told me, oh, when I said that during the interview, I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm done. I'm not going to get to Cambridge. And what was important is not sometimes we can say big things that are silly, but the fact that that student didn't collapse during the interview after that, saying that, and continued and solved the problem was an effective way to show that they were ready to come and learn here. So, to be practical, there will be no pre-assessment written work, no prerequisite, no reading list, just showing curiosity. So I guess if you are thinking about applying, you may have already started to explore and show interest in general psychology concepts, so intelligence, personality, cognition. So there you will have probably read some very common books, popular readings. You may have that in your curriculum as well. So, but it's you're not going to get a specific question about a specific prerequisite knowledge. So don't worry about that. Come with your critical thinking skills and your curiosity, and show us how you think. And again, I'm putting that very high in my list. Respond to what we're giving you during the interview. Make that a discussion. And if you have an eureka moment, that will be an amazing thing. So I've no idea about the time, but so I've promised that I would give away one of my favorite questions that I've used. It's a real interview question that I've used not last year, but the year before. So how do we do that? Do we, because I can't see anything. Um, so if you
What?
want to, yeah.
Sorry, I was just going to say, what are you trying to do? But maybe you're okay.
Yeah, no, I'm just giving you. So if you want to comment on the chat, I'm very happy to look at it after that. Okay. So this is typically what I would give you. So I would give you a panel of figures that are showing an experiment done on recognition of different visual patterns, and this is done before the birth of a baby. So fetuses at the gestation age of that day, 231, 252 days, are almost born, okay? And you can present them a stimulus. So I'll show you this, and my first question will be describe what you see, okay? So description, a stimulus here presented to the abdomen, and then we look at the behavior of the fetuses, and we are challenging and assessing the direction of head turns. I would not sorry, I would not mention anything about what are those patterns, and my next question will be, what do you think is the hypothesis of the experiment? So when you observe the panel, you'll see that here there's a face and non-face legend. So you should, with my help and during the discussion, come to the conclusion that we are exploring the capacity of fetuses before they're born to have a preference for face recognition. That stimulus being a considered as a face, and that one being considered as not a face. So with the discussion, we will go through that. And then my question would be, why do you think it's interesting to do that in fetuses? Are we sure we are actually measuring face recognition? So you see, there's no right or wrong answer. And then I will ask you, is there any follow-up experiment you would like to do to see if something is if that is interesting? So you would answer something, and I will show you the next one and say, oh, look, there was some sort of follow-up on those, and the newborn babies are tested on face recognition again. So you'll have the opportunity to continue and discuss that. And in the end, when we reach the end of the interview, we will have had a discussion on a concept that is very important, face recognition. We use faces to communicate with other humans. And basically, what is a crucial question, what is the relevance of nature-nurture debate in face recognition? So again, this will be very different with all the different applicants, and the discussion will be based on what they know, what they can take from our discussion, and that would be one interview is a single moment. Okay. So this is one example of the questions I could give during the interviews. So mostly in PBS, we are giving you material, a graph, a to comment, to describe and comment. We are giving you experimental design to think about. We are asking you to critically think about big concepts such as personality or resilience, and tell us what you think about all of this, because these are material that you'll see next, the year after next, when you start your undergraduate studies. Okay, I think I've seen Emma appeared, so I think my time is over, and then so I'm happy to answer any questions you may have in the following session.
Thank you.
Should I?
Thank you, Aude.
Yeah,
And thank
sorry.
you for appearing, Emma. Um,
Hello. Did you have issues with people not appearing or?
no, but you never know until, the moment, and then it's all very exciting.
Yeah.
So I mentioned earlier that we would take questions through the Q&A. To find that, you need to find a little circle with three dots in it. Click on that. This is certainly how it looks for me. Hopefully it's the same for you. And under there is Q&A. And Aude and Emma, I shall leave these questions for you guys to have a look at. Are you both able to see them?
Yes, I can see them. Can you
Perfect.
see them?
Yes.
Yes. So maybe Emma, you want to introduce yourself. Thank you very much for being here. I know it's quite a critical moment for you. So Emma is the PBS rep. So introduce yourself.
Yeah, no worries. I hope the acoustics are okay. I'm currently somewhere in the MML building. I'm Emma Richter. I'm a third year PBS, which is probably why Aude mentioned that it's quite a critical time. I'm currently sitting my exams, so I'm one down, one to go at this point. Yeah, and I'm happy to take any questions you have, whether that's interview experience or just also anything more general if that comes up. Maybe first let's prioritize specifically like interview related questions and then see whether we have some more time.
So the first two questions are about like how to develop your critical thinking skills and curiosity for the interview. So I'm going to give you my first my answer to that, and then I'll leave it to you, Emma. I think it's really listening and taking on board new knowledge and showing that you are interested in what you want to study. So how to prepare for that and how to cultivate that. Just be curious in your life. Be curious about psychology, but also other things. Read, listen to podcasts. So maybe Emma has some good things like more like on the aspect like the newest aspects of things. Um, Go talk with other people. Read a little bit of like a scientific news of psychology. Just be aware of what is happening and just be curious.
Yes. I mean, I can basically just agree with that. I think when you're applying for a subject to study at university, it's generally the case that you want to do it because you're interested in it. So I think that's like the prerequisite mostly given already. And then if it comes to like how to cultivate that or how to make like use of that or like show it off in the interview, I think the main thing is just more generally like the way that you approach the interview itself being a conversation with like someone who's knowledgeable in something that you're interested in. So I think like some part of it may come just through that, but like in terms of if you just like want to have a general look around, like for me, I think it was mainly just like finding a book that I was like reading into. I don't know whether it even particularly helped me with my interview, but like it helped me to just like look into how like what currently might be going on, but also like what like would interest me personally within like the realm of psychology, just because it's so diverse in terms of the things that you can do. I think specifically when it comes to like the more scientific side of things and like being curious in that sense, I do think it's quite helpful to have some knowledge about experimental design, like as a baseline thing. And if that's something that you might have not covered during A levels, that might be something worth looking at. Like if it's just like differences between longitudinal designs and like one shot designs or like cohort designs, that could be just a good thing to like have some basis of what you might want to do in which case. Also just for you to like feel safer in the interview to know like that you have looked up something. But I think more generally, it's just keeping up with something. So like I personally sometimes, or especially not during exam periods specifically, but more generally, like listening to, for example, speaking of psychology or like some form of podcast, even if it's not always the most scientific thing, it's something nice to like get sparked onto a different topic, and then you can either look into it in more detail or just forget about it.
There's a question for you, Emma. Do you remember specifically your interview?
Yes. Um, I mean, I don't know how far I am allowed to talk about it. Just to quickly,
Yeah,
okay.
you can. You
Like
can.
I basically know every like most of the questions. I think in the most general sense, there are questions, and I think probably Aude has touched upon this. Like there is questions that are quite specific to experiment design. So I got like a pre-interview task that was to look at like challenges of designing I think in like adolescents and drug user study. And basically then my first task was presenting that list, which for me personally was quite nice because like you had something to work with before and you kind of knew what like the first thing that you were confronted with in the interview was. And then it was like looking at graphs, interpreting what you think a graph might look like. So I think for me it was like brain size charts, which funnily enough was what I've just been revising today. Um, for my final exam. So you might encounter things before, or like the graph that, or the study from probably Ferroni et al. That you just presented. I wrote about that yesterday in my exam. So like it's actually interesting, like how much you encounter things again, but like roughly like that. And then like some more general questions of like, I think some questions that poke. That might be the odd question that pokes into like how you think about more complex things. So I think for me, it was something of like brain and mind differences and what my personal perspective on that would be. But like, it could be something in that direction, but like, don't be thrown off if you don't have like a specific answer to that. But there are some questions where it's more like how you think, and there is no right or wrong answer, which is generally the case in psychology. Like, even if there's evidence about it, it's oftentimes whether you can like try to interpret the evidence. The making the attempt of what is what is important.
Yeah, I remember your interview as well. It's just a good. It's a typical time where you have in front of you a student that shows what you're looking for, and so that's there's the question of like how do we train ourselves for this kind of eureka moment. I don't think you can really train. I mean, like it's you have eureka moments in your life, or I hope maybe sometimes every day or like in classes. Just remember that you are not coming as a blank page, and I'm saying that at the moment of all my students. You've worked, you here because you have you are competing because you like that as well. It's part of yourself. So that eureka moment is I don't want to make a myth. It's just like you are and understanding what you are asked to do. And this is a very good moment. And all the students, almost all of them, at one point we got that during the interview. So there's no way to train for that. I don't think there's just trust yourself with what you've done already. And all those millions eureka moments you had from your childhood to your adolescence and to your young adult life. So that's there's no real training for that. Maybe
Yes.
when we're still on the interview kind of things, how the best way to tackle nerves. Trust that the people who are interviewing you are just here to reveal your potential. We're not here to make you feel uncomfortable. So it's easy for me to say that because I'm the interviewer. And I know that very well that I'm in that position and there's a power dynamic and we should never forget that. But if you can trust what I'm saying here, that everyone in the panels will be helping you thrive, even if you say something silly as birds are mammals, I had that. And it's we're not here to put you on the spot and grill you. Okay? You'll be exhausted at the end of the interview. This is for sure. But tackle nerves is maybe before just try to use the presentations you may have at school. So I know so we Emma and I, even if we are two generations apart, but we're coming from another educational system than the British one. So we had the opportunities during our studies before going for undergraduate studies to have a lot of presentation at school. But there might be during, I don't know, like a competition for your sports or like music when you do a concert, or I don't know, speaking in front of your family, just doing this kind of things in front of friends, taking the opportunities to just show yourself and say what you want to say in a framed way might help you train to tackle your nerves. It's never going to be the same the same environment, but personal story. I remember myself being 6 or 7. Sorry to do that. And playing the piano in front of my family in a concert, or going to the piano exam. All of that. Use those experience. I'm sure that the piano, the guitar, the sports, going for a penalty goal or whatever, all those experience will help you tackle your nerves.
Or can I come in on
Yeah.
this one as well, if
Yes,
that's okay?
absolutely.
And the newest question that's come in as well. I think the other thing to say is that the interviewers are really, really well practiced with people who are really nervous. However much we stand here and say that really interviews are really great fun, and they are because we just get to play with ideas and talk about something that we love with other people who love it, and that's kind of cool. We completely recognize that people will often be nervous and might stumble on words or not be able to find them, or might need to take a minute to pause, or might just go off in completely the wrong direction. And we are really well practiced at supporting people through that and at seeing past those things that happen because we're nervous. And
Yeah.
so
Yes.
please don't put it all on yourself as this is a problem and I've got to fix it. You're going to be nervous if it matters, and that's okay. So practice how to deal with those nerves, absolutely. But don't worry about that because the interviewers will make that all right. And you'll be surprised that you'll be like, and then you'll come out and you're like, oh, that was quite fun. And I don't know, Emma, it sounded like you were going to say something there as well.
Yes, I just quickly wanted to add to that and kind of also jumping back to the question I got asked, what I remember from my interview. And for me, it was two things. If when Aude mentioned not every time getting things right, I completely got off the wrong train for like answering a question, and then like I got brought back, and I think what then was just like probably relevant or like that I was like, okay, I was interested in what the correct answer would have been, and then I then tried to understand why that was correct and what I thought was possibly possible was not. So like it's completely irrelevant if you get something wrong, is the point that I was gonna make. And I think adding on to what Ord said and also then you, Jonna, apart from the interviews being really nice, in terms of like practice, I personally, for example, like I did not have any like school practice in interviews or anything like that specifically. For me, as Ord said, it was more presentations. And if that's something that's not common like for your school, for me, it was just something that like basically was the case from like elementary school on. I had to present things. So it was like that was something I was more like um accustomed to. But for example, make a presentation night with your friends. It's the most fun thing you can do. Like get yourselves to do presentations about like where I can see my friend that's after graduation in 10 years time or stuff like that. That's something like me and my friends used to do all the time. And it gets you to like you don't of course don't have to do like a presentation in the interview, but it gets you to interact like in a way where you're like presenting fun ideas, which is basically what you're doing in the interview in a very different setting. So that might be just a really random thing I thought about that actually quite well translates. Like it's stuff like this. You might think you don't have experience, but you actually do have it.
Absolutely. And I would add, when because there are candidates that are extremely trained for interviews, and so as much as it's an excellent skill to have, sometimes it put with the stress and with all of that, it puts you in a mindset that you need to perform the way you've learned to perform, and it's unlikely it's going to be like this. So it's unlikely that you're going to have the possibility to have the questions you trained for. It's very, very unlikely. So trust yourself and trust that we're here to support you and make you make. We have no problem posing for a couple of minutes. You know, sometimes people may need water just to soften their voice or whatever. There's no problem with that, and that will not penalize anyone. This is a real thing. Um, to.
For
I
the
think
last
the other
question,
questions are more
Aude,
general.
about competitive personal statements, I'm going to put the link in to the admissions webinar that we've had recently on how to write a competitive personal statement, which is more general, but I didn't know if you wanted to say anything specifically about PBS.
Um, so first, I would say do not use AI. Um, do not use AI for anything in your application or anything in the interviews. I promised myself I would say that. So this is the time I want to use that. That we will see it, we will feel it. I know we're never going to be able to prove it. I know AI tools are sometimes things that you want to use, and they may be if you use them correctly and they may help you and support you, but they will not be of any help in that application. So for a competitive personal statement, I said like show you again, I'm going to repeat myself, but show you that you're curious. Not necessarily that you know things about everything about the I don't know like all psychology, but maybe show some experiences you've done or books that you've been interested in and mostly not saying that you've read them because that's good, but what you took away from them, how that inspired you to, I don't know, like start a fundraising campaign on that, or how you use that to do a club at your school or discuss ideas with a group of friends and so it can be very big things. We have some very competitive personal statements where students have already done an internship and they put on a paper and they participated on a paper. But we also have students who've done like very classical courses before and but show that they are interested and never used AI to write their personal statements with that. So I would say that.
Yes, also a point on AI that I've just realized within the last year-ish. It's just way less like satisfying if you get a result. It always feels like it's not you who has been looked at, but like something else. So I think like even for both getting admitted and not getting admitted, it's just like take into consideration whether you want that to be a case of like someone, basically someone else writing this for you. And then if it comes to what to put in there, I've reread my personal statement recently. It's horrible. Like it's not going to be your best work in terms of written something, and that's not what it is about. It's whether like again, kind of you can show that you're curious about things, and basically anything can go in it there. That kind of latches onto the question that has been asked, like, how did you know that that's what you wanted to do? It's kind of like showing this, but this doesn't have to be like this is a definite thing that I want to be doing. Like I, for example, did like I took a year out after A levels and I worked in a biomedical lab, and that's quite distant to like classic psychology work. But doing that, I realized that this is not necessarily what I want to be doing. I rather would like to also like look at the human side and maybe integrate that with like animal work and get to know more about that side. Um, so like it's thinking about what experiences in your life wait might have been like meaningful to get you where you are at, and then kind of communicating that. I'd say.
Um, do not use AI during the interview. It's obvious, you know. We had experiences. It's online. It's the way the college and university are doing the interviews at the moment. Not all of them, but most of them. We know that there's a risk, but do not use that. We will find we'll easily spot it. So I know I've seen something on like a psychology, taking A-level psychology. so although psychology A level is not required, is there a disadvantage in application, interview, or when you start the course? So I do take bio and math. So yeah, no, there's no disadvantage. So okay, someone with A-level psychology may have heard about Pavlovian conditioning, but I think you the first year is really foundational knowledge. So there's no disadvantage. There's something about as well, like a question about what readings you would recommend to pursue psychology outside of school. If you are interested and you're not taking psychology A level, maybe out of interest, just for you, just to prepare for and know if psychology is really something that you like and you're interested in, have a look at the fundamental concept of psychology. So either in books that are called like this. So there's a wide variety, like textbooks, and there are online resources that you can have, or like just read some article in scientific papers. Not, I mean, like not research papers, but you have like a scientist, I don't know, like a new scientist or whatever. Just just be curious about that world. Psychology is you can do psychology from like metacognition to a very basic behavior like associative behavior and learning in animals in the zebrafish. So you see you're never going to be able in your life, even in your life, to cover everything. So just be curious about the different topics and the different possibilities, and to also make and to also have an idea about what you like.
Now, I've
Uh,
accidentally clicked on the question that says, would you say PBS is a beneficial course to take over psychology at other universities? So could you answer that so that I don't make the question disappear?
yeah. Oh yes, absolutely. So you with PBS you can apply to various different things after your for postgraduate studies. So maybe I'll leave Emma telling you about her applications. But
Should I do that? I don't know. No, I think PBS is, as Cambridge courses generally, quite known for the flexibility, which kind of latches onto the question, even like whether doing maths and bio is bad, prerequisite stuff like that. Like it's of course like you will be writing more essays and stuff like that than possibly at other universities, but it's a skill like communicating arguments is I think something that you learn here probably way more than at other universities, and a skill that's very versatile like when it comes to employment more generally like afterwards. But I think if you don't want to yet think about like postgraduate degrees, if you haven't even started your undergraduate studies, that's what was the case for me. It's also just a course that's very flexible. So once they've now renewed it to what I was doing, it's still the case that you do select papers from can select papers from a variety of other courses. So whether you want to lean more humanities or even archaeology, like doing biological anthropology, or like I did in my first year, both mathematical biology as well as the theory of the modern state, because I still loved media studies and politics in school. So I think that's mainly what drew me into Cambridge PBS specifically, is that I had an interest both in the like social science side of things, but also in the specific like neuroscience grounding, and I could still do both while I'm here and kind of, especially at the start, like figure things out and like then select where I wanted to go. Whereas I oftentimes felt like some other universities might be leaning very exclusively in one track or the other. So I think that's something to keep in mind. And then of course, just this like how you learn in Cambridge more generally, aside from the specifics of the course, is I think probably even the bigger argument of like having supervisions, having the format that you learn in, and just being in a research environment especially is something that is just very yeah giving you back a lot for what you're studying.
Yeah, so I don't know what you were thinking when you asked like beneficial for pursuing. Yes, it's going to be a good a good degree to bring if you want to continue psychology in other universities. Yes, yes, for sure. So the place of the interview. So would you know which applicants have a large chance of getting an offer even before the interviews? Only looking at personal statement, teacher reference, and other parts of the application. Everyone who's selected for the interviews have the same chances. So that's the interview is part of the whole application. So this is considered as much as the other side of the application, the other sides of the application. But no, Joe, do you agree on that? Because you interview for other courses as well. So
Yeah, I think we really do try and look at all of the information that we can and put that together. So I think people sometimes worry that the interview has too much weight, and the interview is viewed holistically within that broader picture of who you are, your educational background, all of those things. So yes, I don't feel that decisions are made before you come to interview,
exactly,
in any sense.
exactly. So does taking psychology have an admission test? Not this year.
At
But
Homerton.
at Homerton. Uh, the department is trying to have some sort of like guidance for all colleges. There's less and less colleges who are doing pre-admission tests. I know some of them are doing that, but in the future, so I don't know when you think to apply. In the future, there might be a admission test for all applicants wherever you apply to whatever college you apply for. So at the moment at Homerton, no. What sorts of activities are involved in the practical classes? So first year, you manipulate variables sometimes, like on a computer. There's practical classes like based on coding. So if you want to increase your skills in coding, I think that would be a good thing. And in the second year, they have a new practical where you will design a study using EEG. So that would be directly like putting hands on, I think. So do you think PBS is suitable course for me if there are aspects of A-level psychology that I hate, but others that I really enjoy? Yes, because psychology, as I said, is so vast. I don't particularly like some aspects of the course, but I still enjoy the course in general and supervising the course. And I think Emma is sharing that point of view.
Yeah, I can agree. Even revising now, it's like even within the modules that I now got to choose, like there are things that you like more than and other things you like less. Don't ask me about Pavlovian conditioning. Like I know Aude has referenced it several times right now. I still need to go over that topic because I keep avoiding it because I don't really like it. But then the same module also contains discussions of impulsivity and addiction, which I do really enjoy, and which kind of link back to even these constructs. So I think even if it's something that you like rather dislike, like for example, developmental psychology or like social psychology, as opposed to like more the cognitive psychology or neuroscience side, or vice versa for that matter. I think you will inevitably, if you want to do psychology, be exposed to some extent to some of these just because things link up and you'll find the same principles over and over again in different things. So that's of course something to consider. And if you're really, really keen on doing the neurobiology side and completely hate everything else, then it might be worth considering whether it's practical. But like if you like it generally and just don't like, for example, developmental psychology, fine. I don't like most of developmental psychology and I'm still studying here and really enjoying it. So, and you'll actually find that some parts of the things that you might not like in school are really nice here. For example, I despised ecology in school, and now I deliberately chose a paper that very much latches onto ecology and evolution. things I despised in A-level biology. So you never know.
There's a couple here that I think I can answer quickly. I don't know when an admissions test would start, and we don't even know if it will. So we can't give any more details on that, I'm afraid. Could you tell us what the test is if you do apply for another college with tests? If you look at the Cambridge University PBS admissions page and look under entry requirements, there are links there that show you all of the information about various colleges and what they ask for. So that would be the best place to look because that's information that we don't necessarily have in our heads, but I do know that you'll find it there. Then in terms of contextual information being used after interview when making an offer, we don't we have minimum entry requirements. We don't make contextual offers that are below those. But that's because we feel that that's what's needed for you to come and really thrive on the course. I don't think I can answer the next two, so it's back over to you. I'm going to shut the curtain because I've disappeared into some weird sun world.
Yeah, so I think that I maybe might just take on the very first question on the
Yeah.
Oxford question very quickly. I think for me it was a question of, so I think you probably are referencing experimental psychology at Oxford, it is, I think. And for me it was just a case that I did still like the some having some aspect of social psychology and stuff like that in it. And also I visited Cambridge before, so I had that opportunity and I just really fell in love with the city. Um, so I think it was for me personally just a thing of considering both the content of the course, but also whether you could imagine, like, it sounds so weird saying whether you could imagine yourself in either of the places. Um, but I think at the end of the day, it's a place where you will study 3 years, and it's not only the course that you're doing; you will be living there for 3 years. So if there's like some even just some intuition with some, if you're completely invariant because you feel like both things could at this point in your life suit your life, but you feel like a really strong gut response to one or the other, you might as well give the one that you feel better with a shot. I think that's roughly what I would say. I am not too familiar currently with the course details of the Oxford degree, so I can't completely comment on that. I remember looking at it and thinking that the Cambridge degree was more diverse, but that just might be my personal recollection of it.
Yes, I think our advice there would be to go and look at the Oxford website and see if there are any equivalents of this type of talk that might give you more details on what that's like in person. Talking to students is always good because they can tell you what it's
Coming
really like to study it.
coming to open days if you can, of course, would is a very good opportunity as it feel
Blogs,
the vibes.
blogs from people in Cambridge and in Oxford. That's how I went about it because I like many people don't have the opportunity possibly. Um, so I mean I only got the opportunity really like by chance. So I think
PBS content and concept different from A-level psychology. Maybe in the first year you find things that are part of the A-level curriculum, but it's going to be much more detailed. It's going to be hands-on. It's going to be actual. It's not going to be only on theory. So it's you will have shared content, but very different as well. So contextual information be used even after the interview when deciding between applications or applicants and making offers.
So I think we look at all of the information we've got when making those decisions. So it really is a holistic view of every piece of information that we've got when we're working out the offers that we make.
We've cleared out all the questions.
great.
Well
Almost on
done.
time.
Well, and we are just about on time. I'm sorry, we have overrun by a couple of minutes. So thank you for sticking around. Just to say thank you very much for coming along tonight. The recording of this should go on the Homerton Resources web page. where you'll be able to find it. But there are other things there, links to other resources that might be of interest. So do have a look at that. There are also various other events, and Aude has mentioned the open day there coming up. So if you have the opportunity to come and visit, please do come and see us. Emma's exams will be over by then, so it'll all be very relaxed.
I'm
But
looking forward
yes.
to that. Yeah.
So yeah, thank you for your attendance today. Thank you, Aude and Emma, for your
Thank you very
time
much.
as well.
Thank you, Emma.
No worries.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.
Bye.